So, we've spent quite a bit of time discussing the military vehicles in the Expanse, the military vessels, the naval vessels of the UNN and the MCRN, and we discussed last week the Canterbury, one of the civilian vessels featured in the show, and today we're going to take a look at another civilian vessel that played an even more interesting role in the events of the Expanse. Let's take a look at the Razorback, or the Screaming Firehawk. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So the Razorback, later known as the Screaming Firehawk, has a long and fascinating history, from serving as a racing ship to its role in the events that shaped the history and future of the whole system. So I figured while we're on a trend of talking about civilian ships amongst the sea of warships, let's take a look at the Razorback and the unique role it played within the Expanse. Let's start off with statistics. The Razorback was just over 20 meters long, making it a little less than half the length of the Rocinante, and it's about 7 meters wide at its widest point. The Razorback is a heavily modified Series 6 Sunflare model racing vessel, which was originally built by Proserpina Star Works. It was designed to be sleek and maneuverable, having relatively powerful maneuvering thrusters for its size, allowing it to take tight turns and pull off rather ridiculous maneuvers, which is necessary if you're going to use it for racing. And to be able to race effectively within the Expanse, you need a beefy Epstein drive, and boy did it have a pretty powerful one. The Razorback was propelled by a supercharged Destrier 4 high-velocity Epstein drive. This allowed it to have a remarkable rate of acceleration, which once again really helped it in its original racing career. Interestingly enough, because of the sort of maneuvers that the vessel was designed to pull and its original intention of being a high-speed, high-performance racing vessel, its control couches are very different from the command seats on other vessels that may be more intended for more reasonable maneuvers. Instead, the control couches on the Razorback are mounted within these gimbals, and they're designed more like a fighter jet cockpit, very cushioned, and you're really buckled in because the vessel is designed to pull ridiculously high G maneuvers and tight turns. So since the cockpits are mounted in gimbals, they can be rotated and reoriented in whichever way makes it most survivable to the crew on board. Well, I don't believe it's ever seen in the show. There is a compartment behind this cockpit space that includes the necessities of life. Bunks for the crews to sleep in, some storage space, and some food processing stuff, and things necessary, and I'm sure there's a bathroom down there as well. The Razorback was originally ordered and operated by Mao Kikowski Mercantile, which is the personal venture of Jules Pierre Mao, who, Julie Mao, his daughter, was the primary pilot of the Razorback. It became renowned across the galaxy for its racing career, where it was one of the most capable racing vessels in the system, most notably coming in first during the Parish-Dorm 500K circuit, which happened around Titan out in the outer planets. However, while that was its most famous racing victory, it did claim the victory in other racing events across the system, including, for example, the Jupiter 6 Slingshot, which is considered reckless and dangerous when it comes to racing in the Expanse. During the events of the first season of the show, the Razorback was left on Ceres, where it was left in the care of some OPA operatives, while Julie Mao went off and died of protomolecule on Eros. At some point in between that and the beginning of the UN-MCR war, the Razorback was returned to Jules Pierre Mao, where it was placed on board his yacht in the private hangar on board. When the yacht was boarded by UN representatives, including Eva Sarala, the Razorback was discovered in the ship's hangar and used as a getaway vehicle as the vessel was fired upon by UN warships. It was then taken from there to rendezvous with the Agatha King, which was at that time experiencing a mutiny. Following the events of the UN-MCR war, the Razorback fell under the control of the UN. And while it was under the control of the UN, it was assigned to Bobby Draper and Alex to investigate some unusual MCRN activity in the asteroid belt. These happened to be rogue MCRN factions handing over warships to the Free Navy, and while the Razorback was able to observe this and transmit images to other ships around the system, they were ultimately detected. The Razorback was pursued by Free Navy vessels and actually attacked and almost boarded, but the Free Navy skiff that was pursuing it was ultimately destroyed, and the Razorback was able to escape. Following these events, the ship was brought back to Luna, and that's the last place we see it. It's likely still on Luna during the events of the end of Season 6, and what happens to it beyond this point is unknown. It could end up in a museum, or maybe even playing a role in a future story within the Expanse. We'll have to wait and see if there's a movie or a further continuation on the plot of the TV show. All in all, I think the Razorback is an interesting example of what civilian ships within the Expanse really can do. It's remarkably maneuverable. It's nothing like the large ice hauler, the Canterbury, or really any other civilian ship we see, so it's fascinating to get to see the role that it played within this universe. But it is still a civilian vessel, and if you'd like to learn about the other large civilian vessel that played a very significant role in the story of the Expanse, I'll leave a link up here to my video all about the Canterbury, the ice hauler that started this whole thing. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments what you think is going to happen to the Razorback. Do you think it's going to end up continuing to serve a purpose for the UN following the events of the Free Navy War, or do you think it's going to end up in a museum somewhere, or scrapped, or maybe even in a junkyard? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in the Expanse, leave it down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.